Welcome to Structures to Support Standards Grading Reform. I'm Jennifer Miller, Learning Support Coordinator at Good Shepherd Catholic School and Co-District Lead for the Teacher Induction Program at the Diocese of San Diego. At the end of this presentation, you'll be able to understand how the Diocese of San Diego collaborated to reform grading practices and create a cultural mind shift surrounding SRG through the creation of an SRG coalition, understand how one school is making the transition, and understand how to include parents in the process through ongoing education. The Diocese of San Diego focuses SRG work on several guiding principles. They are: the way we grade should motivate students to achieve academic success, support a growth mindset, and give students opportunities for redemption. Grades should reflect progress towards academic standards or success criteria that demonstrate what students know and are able to do. The teaching of essential standards and providing multiple opportunities or methods to determine proficiency are necessary. Non-academic progress will be reflected in successful learner traits. Extra credit will not be part of a student's grade. And if assigned, homework should have a clear purpose and be an extension of the learning in the classroom and not part of the academic grade. As a diocese, we've adapted standards referenced grading as opposed to standards-based grading. The main difference is standards referenced grading is a system in which students receive feedback about their proficiency on a set of defined standards. If a student masters these standards quickly, he or she is given the opportunity for more in-depth study or real-world applications. Now, standards-based grading is a system when a set of standards are mastered, the student immediately moves on to a more challenging set of standards or a higher grade level. Reflecting on why we grade students on their assessments, we realize that students show the most growth from receiving teacher feedback. As students ourselves, we can recall receiving feedback from our teachers that ranged from "good job" to "okay, but I expected better of you," to "nice work, but you lost 10 points for turning in your assignment without your name on top." How did this feedback help us grow as learners? Well, the next time we turned in the assignment, we were sure to add our name to the top of the paper. But other than that, did we really specifically learn how to improve in meeting the standards we were required to master? Now more than ever, it's critical to plan meaningful lessons with formative assessments that will provide students with the feedback that they need to improve their progress towards the standards. Many of our students nationwide have experienced learning loss due to this pandemic, so focusing grading practices on progress towards standards mastery is how we will succeed in accelerating student learning. So how can we come together as a diocese to create lifelong learners and gather the resources for school sites to begin this process of making the mind shift towards grading for mastery rather than for compliance? Our solution was to create an SRG coalition. So early summer 2020, the Diocese of San Diego formed a coalition comprised of leadership representatives from schools embracing standards referenced grading. Our mission was to support the implementation of standards reference grading and reporting system in San Diego Catholic School member experiences with standards grading ranged from beginner all the way to intermediate. 9 of us committed to meeting twice per month while collaborating on live documents and gaining professional knowledge experiences in between our meetings, many of which are shared at the end of this presentation. Our group was comprised of our Associate Director of Schools, several principals and vice principals, as well as teacher leaders from elementary and middle school to broaden perspectives. Once the school year began, we met monthly. Upon reflection, we realized there was a strong need to have a working knowledge of the standards and frameworks before beginning the work of shifting to standards-based grading. As a coalition, we created a website to house all of our resources for easy reference. This site enables administrators to learn how to design a path forward with their teachers in mind. The variety of resources supports teachers open to standards grading, as well as those reluctant to change. Together, the coalition created an implementation roadmap to guide schools as they begin or continue their journey embracing SRG. We then offered a professional learning sessions to administrators and teacher leaders at the novice and intermediate levels. Our coalition also offered mentorships to support schools in implementation. SRG Leadership Coalition members were assigned to schools seeking assistance. Report card templates were also created to alleviate the mystique of how to report standards grading, and SRG handbooks were refined for teacher and parent use. Our guiding resource is this SRG implementation roadmap. How can you use this information with your site? Where would you place your school along this roadmap? Are they new to SRG, transitioning to SRG, or implementing SRG? Choose the best column that best describes your site's current position and follow the phases beginning with phase 1. So allow me to demonstrate what we did at my current site as we implemented and applied this roadmap to our school. I'm currently at Good Shepherd Catholic School, where we are transitioning to SRG slowly. We chose to begin with grades TK through 5, then add on 1 grade level until we reach 8th grade. Currently, we are implementing SRG in grades TK through 6, with 7th grade being added next year. Some schools choose to start with kindergarten only, while other schools choose to fully jump into transitioning all their grades to SRG. Each decision has its pros and cons and should be thoroughly considered when making a decision on how to proceed for your school site. Since we're transitioning, we're working in the middle column and starting with phase 1 all the way back in August of 2020. As a school, we made plans to dedicate time with teachers to model expectations for unit planning, dedicate time with students for their goal development, dedicated time to create and communicate clear structures and guidelines, design a professional development plan, explore implementation training with our school systems, and update school handbooks and grading policies. It's important to note that all of this work started with the standards. Beginning with unpacking the standards helps teachers make informed decisions while unit planning for that year ahead. For phase 2, gather initial feedback from teachers, students, and parents, and analyze results to make adjustments if needed. We carried out mid-year analysis standards with teachers using atlas reports, curriculum maps. You can even use a list of standards. We analyzed the standards taught using Google Sheets or Excel documents as standards, and then color-coded the standards that were taught. Standards remaining to teach were a different color. And then we looked back on our standards to analyze and inform our teaching for the remainder of the school year. We highlighted the areas of need so that we could put more instructional time into these. And since we are in column 2, we already completed column 1, which was conducting professional reading and created a shared understanding of SRG principles. We continue to do this year as well. Moving on to phase 3, towards the end of the school year, we will pull findings from our mid-year standards analysis and report cards to communicate the positive growth that we've seen as a result of standards reference grading implementation efforts. Next, we will gather feedback through Google Forms from teachers, parents, and students. We have found that students take ownership of their learning and provide us with critical feedback to help us improve instruction and assessment practices. Initial feedback gained from parent conferences includes many thanks for separating content standards from behaviors. Parents state they clearly understand what their child needs to know and how to support them in their academic growth. Further feedback has brought accolades to involving students in their own self-reflection and self-assessment using the rubrics that the teachers provide as a guide. Then we continued parent communication, again from Path 1, which we began last year. And you can refer back to the roadmap to see what contains or which elements are contained in Phase 1 or of Path 1, as well as all the way through to Phase 4, excuse me. Now, at the end of the school year, we have students reflect on their progress towards mastery of the standards and analyze their successful learner trait goals. This is where we celebrate successes. At our staff meeting, we will preview Phase 1 of Column 3 for the upcoming school's SRG work. Parents are the primary teachers of their children. Most grew up receiving traditional grades from their teachers and are used to that format. Our job is to adjust their way of thinking about grades with research and examples. We also have to make decisions regarding traditional aspects of school life, such as honor roll. We decided to phase out honor roll over time at our site. For example, this year's 6th graders will not receive honor roll recognition. However, 7th and 8th grades will have honor roll since they are still using traditional grading methods. But recognition is an important part of learning. So with SRG, recognition is focused on growth. Growth may be related to academics or behavior. For example, students who make the most growth in math may earn a growth award at the end of the marking period in math. At Good Shepherd Catholic School, we capitalized on PTA meetings to share brief presentations regarding SRG. At the beginning of the year, we gave a research-based overview of the grading processes and practice, along with the student samples at various grade levels. As report card time approaches, we deliver a webinar showing parents how an SRG report card is read. Due to the pandemic, we've been holding these meetings virtually. So we've been recording the meetings to share with parents who are unable to attend those live sessions. I invite you to take 90 seconds to click on the hyperlinked checklist on the right side of this slide to reflect on your current school comfort level with standards referenced grading. As you go, think about your site's possible next steps. What path might you take? I hope this checklist was useful for you. Looking at the guiding principles, being able to analyze whether your school is following these guiding principles, and then also establishing who is responsible for these next steps can really help you to get going in formulating your plan for the coming months or the coming school year. I'd like to share this quote with you from Rick Wormeli, posted in Education Week Teacher. "The grade is not the reward, nor can it ever be considered such. Once a grade becomes a bartering tool, its power to inform stakeholders and be used to make instructional decisions or document progress accurately is impugned." This is a big mind shift for many parents and sometimes teachers who focus so much on the grade. It's imperative that we establish these goal thinkers in our students where they can actually think forward as to what they would like to achieve and really focus on that goal. It's not necessarily that A that we need to earn or that highest grade in the class. We want to make sure that we are producing learners who understand their ability to grow and to know that it's okay to be where they currently are. Everybody grows at different rates. Everybody understands and masters material at different rates than others. The same is true when you look at different subject areas. You know, I love math and I will excel more in math and want to do more in math than perhaps in science. So it would take me a little longer to master materials in science. And knowing that about myself kind of gives myself a break, and it lets the anxiety level, come down. It breaks down those walls to actually spend my focus on learning the material rather than being concerned about getting 100 points or that high grade. In fact, I would rather just be able to see that I've grown from beginning to understand the material to now understanding and applying the material. I urge you to keep in touch with me. I would love to hear how your schools are doing, whether you've been able to get your staff on board with jumping into using standards reference grading, or if maybe you've been using some of these practices in creating assessments and giving formative feedback. Maybe you're using this year to develop your SRG guidelines and get everybody involved all across the grade levels. If that's the case, or even if you're just going to put your foot in the water and just see what it's like, great. I urge you to just try it. If you want to find out other ways to talk with your staff and have conversations, and what we went through as a staff and what I can share also with you from other staffs, please feel free to reach out. If you see this link at the bottom, it says the Diocese of San Diego SRG Leadership Coalition. All of these people on the coalition are at different sites within the Diocese of San Diego. They have all different perspectives and experiences with their staffs. So it's definitely beneficial to reach out to all of us. We would love to help you, and I wish you all the best. Please refer to our resources to make your job a little easier. We have attached here our parent handbook, our teacher handbook, and then the SD Catholic SRG website, which I spoke to earlier. This is our one-stop shop for all of our resources. There are some phenomenal video links and resources, and also some reading material that really helped us as a coalition to formulate our next steps. A wonderful book to read is Fair Isn't Always Equal by Rick Wormeli. It will help you understand not only everything that we discussed here today, but also how to talk with parents that are still in that frame of mind that students have to always be achieving at the highest levels. This will really help you to have those hard conversations with parents. And at the end, you will also see a very new video that we created, Standards Referenced Grading, Developing an Implementation Plan. And again, this is new, so if you have any feedback on the implementation plan itself, Feel free to reach out. We're always adding and growing our presentations and our skill set. So we really love to hear from our fellow educators out there across the United States in our Catholic schools. Well, God bless you. Enjoy the rest of the week and take care. I would love to answer any questions that you have about today's presentation.